Okay, great. Sorry about that.
No, that should be in the middle seat. Did you hear that?
You can have it.
I'm supposed to be in the middle seat. I knew that.
The time is 3 o'clock, and I call the October 19th, 2023 meeting of the Alpharetta Historic Preservation Committee to order. Thank you for everyone in the room coming and anyone listening online. Please, let's see, I have everyone except Bob Burgess that's attending, so we have a quorum. And again, if you'll turn off your cell phones, I'd appreciate it. We would like to ask the commission to consider the meeting minutes of September 14th, 2023. Does anyone have any comments or changes to those minutes? Were those sent out to the commissioners?
I believe the minutes should have been part of the packet.
Oh,
The only thing in the packet was this.
you didn't get one delivered to you?
No, I did not get one.
And it wasn't on your computer?
No, but it's okay. It's all right. It's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so each of your computers should have the full packet on it, which will also include the meeting
Okay,
minutes.
so how do you do that?
They're on your iPad.
Yeah, the iPad, just scroll, you can scroll through the iPads.
Okay, so first you gotta turn it on, right?
Can we borrow someone, please?
It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, there it is. Sure.
Great. I know you haven't had a chance to read the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes? Are there any additions or changes to it? Connie, you okay? Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion that we accept those minutes?
Motion we accept.
And second? And so, all in favor, raise your hand, please. And it passed unanimously. I'm going to skip over the items from the commissioners until later, if I'm allowed to. Items from staff. We have the city clerk, Lauren Shapiro, with us today and to make a presentation on open records. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, you guys. Good to see all of you. So I am coming forward this afternoon to give a super brief, hopefully, presentation on open records and how it can affect our business that we do as a city, both as individuals and as a board member for the city. Later today, after this meeting, I will ask you guys in pairs of 2 to join our IT team over in this conference room next door to get set up with your city-issued email address. So that will help the city in terms of cybersecurity and future open records requests. So I'm just going to give you guys a brief overview. Some of it might be stuff you already know in terms of the Georgia open records laws. But feel free to ask questions if you guys have them. So you guys should be able to see the presentation on the screens in front of you. Is that correct? Wonderful. So just as a brief overview, what is the Open Records Act? So the state legislature decided and codified in OCGA 5018-70 that basically any acts that the government does should be open to the public. So everything that we do as staff, as council members, as commissioners, as board members, all of the acts that we do here are open for inspection by the public, both in open meetings like today, where the public can join us during an open session, and then also with all of our records. So things like these applications that you guys will review today, any emails, text messages, all of that kind of information is stuff that the public can ask to see. The other thing that it talks about in the Open Records Act is that not only should it be made available to the public, but it should be done so without a huge delay as well. There are some exceptions to the Open Records Act too. I won't get into too much detail with that, but there are some things that we can withhold as well that are to be kept in private. And speaking in terms of the legal definition of a public record, it's anything that has been prepared by the city, anything that the city has received, or anything that the city has maintained over a period of time. Those can be things like documents, it can be maps, it could be a picture on my city cell phone, it could be a text message to the mayor, it could be an email. There's so many different things that is considered a record. So it doesn't have to be a tangible piece of paper, it can be electronic data as well. So just a little background on how open records requests affect the city. So in 2022, the city received over 6,200 open records requests. Requesters, they can ask for any and all types of information, as I've kind of explained already: emails, notes, meeting invitations, text messages, applications, plans, minutes, car accident reports, fire inspections, court records, anything and everything that affects our city, people can ask for it. So just a little bit background on what happens when people do ask for an open records request. They can ask for it in any way. They could come in person, they could call us, they could write me an email, but the main way that we receive all of our open records requests is through an online portal that's on the city's website called Just FOIA. FOIA stands for the Freedom of Information Act, which that term is more of a federal term, but that is the software that we use. So once a person goes on and submits a request, say they say, I want the Historic Preservation Commission minutes from the past year. Each department that is affected by that request, they prepare the documentation, they review it, and then they redact anything that we're allowed to redact under the Open Records Act, or they provide an estimate to the requester. So if I have something easy saved on my computer and I can just upload and send it to them, I have 3 days to get them that information. If it's something that's going to take a little bit more time for me to investigate, I can send them an estimate that says, hey, Bonnie, I know you want all my emails from last year. That's a really big request because I send thousands of emails a day. So it's going to take me maybe 2 weeks to get you what you need. And so I would just send an estimate and ask her to approve it. So anytime, specifically in today's context, that emails are requested, that is handled by the city's clerk's office. We conduct a search, we review all of the emails, and we redact anything for privileged information. So in the event currently where most of our board members use their personal email addresses, I would have to contact them individually and say, hey, please search your personal email address for these terms and send me anything and everything that you have. So by us being able to switch and issue city-issued email accounts, it allows us to search within our server, makes our records process a little bit more clean and easier to locate for any information that a requester could ask for. All of our documents, as I mentioned, certain things can be withheld or redacted based on a Georgia statute, 5018-72. There's over 50 different paragraphs here that say the types of things that you can redact. Some of them don't apply specifically to cities, but an example of a few big ones that you guys might have seen or heard of are things like your personal cell phone number, your personal email address, medical records, attorney-client privilege or work product, trade secrets, real estate appraisals, economic development projects, things like that. So we look at it with a fine-tooth comb, and we'll always get the city attorney's advice if needed. So as I mentioned, the whole point of this little session today is kind of a 3-step process. So the first thing after today, we'll issue your city email address. So our IT team is going to give you 2 things. They're going to give you access to something called Duo. That is basically they call it a 2-factor authentication, which basically confirms that when I am Bonnie and I'm going to log into my city email account, it's going to make sure that I'm Bonnie because I'm going to approve that I'm going into that app. It basically pops up on your screen and confirms that you are the person you say you are and you're not trying to hack into someone's email account. And then the second thing that they're going to issue is your city email account, which we use Microsoft Outlook. And the main reason why are the biggest two things, which we've kind of already addressed today, are for open records purposes and for cybersecurity. Our IT department, they have several policies and procedures that they would like all of our staff and internal facing board members to adhere to in terms of our cybersecurity policies. And so that's the biggest reason for wanting to issue all of our boards and commissions a city email address. So for in the future, moving forward, city staff is only going to email you on your city-issued email address. So my lauren@gmail.com, I won't get city business emails. It'll go to your Alpharetta email address, which will be provided. So the key here is to only use your city email for city business. And if you ever have an issue with your email account, I'm going to send you a link. There's a website you can go to, and that communicates directly to our IT department. Looking forward, every 90 days, you'll have to change your password, and then once a month, you'll also get a training video. They're quick, maybe less than 5 minutes, just about how cybersecurity can affect you and your accounts. You might even learn something that you could tell someone at home about. And just to kind of recap everything, you'll have your city email account issued to you today. The best practice is really only use your city account for city business because anything there can be requested or looked at from an open records perspective. We'll try to redact anything and everything that we can under the Open Records Act. And then your personal email account, just because you send a city business email from your Gmail or your Yahoo or your AOL account doesn't mean that it's not searchable under the Open Records Act if you're doing city business on your personal email. So your best practice is your Gmail and your Hotmail and your AOL mail. Use that for personal stuff, not for city business moving forward. And now is the time for questions. Does anybody have any questions?
Wow.
Did you learn a lot?
I don't think I can change my password every 30 days. I haven't changed it in 9 years.
And our IT team, they have some tools to help you come up with a password if you need it. Well, thank you guys for letting me talk to you about the importance of open records and cybersecurity, and we'll be around after the meeting to help you guys get set up. Yes, Miss Bonnie.
I'm not tech savvy.
That's okay.
So if I want to send something to Michael
Yes.
about, are we changing the time of our next meeting?
Yes.
It should go through the city email?
That would be the preferred method, yes, ma'am, if it
Not-
relates to city
Not
business.
my cell phone. anymore.
Well, if you're going to send a text message, you could, but if it was something that you would say, you know, did I want to send, or if it was something you would typically send from your personal email, we would ask that you use your city email instead.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So if you still want to call Michael, you can, or write him a heartfelt letter, you can do that too.
He's blushing.
Well, thank you guys. Yes, Mr. Myers.
Can you send messages through the system?
Messages, you mean email messages or text messages? Text messages, we don't have that capability now. You might have access to Microsoft Teams, which is similar to text messaging, but I'd have to check on that. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
Okay.
Do we have any questions? And we're going to be meeting with you after.
Yes, so we'll call you in 2 at a time. If there's anyone that needs to get out of here quickly, we can pull you guys first, just so we have 2 laptops to set up everyone's emails on at a time.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Great,
I
thank
appreciate it.
you.
Yep.
Okay, we have 2 items being considered for today's meeting. Michael Woodman, would you care to begin your presentation?
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. The first item before you is PH 2317 Earl Woodhouse Certificate of Appropriateness. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness to rehabilitate the Earl Woodhouse for use as a private residence. The applicant is proposing to rehab the original home, including a two-story building addition at the rear of the structure, as well as they're adding a two-car garage on the right side of the historic structure. I do have the location map on the overhead. This property is located at 531 South Main Street. Last month, you heard the applicant's request for historic designation. Council did approve that. That became official this past Monday on October 16th. The Earl Woodhouse, as we know, is constructed around 1919. It's over 100 years old, and the style of the home is unknown. This is a street view of the current structure on the property. And when we presented the historic designation to you last month, we told you about the approval on this property. So back in October of 2022, so last year, council approved the property to add 16 for-sale townhomes on the property. And so this is the Earl Woodhouse here. And you can see there are 4 townhomes to the left of it, and then 12 townhomes to the right of it. And I also showed you this kind of bird's eye view looking at the development with the Earl Woodhouse here and then the townhome development surrounding it. As part of this process, you're going to be looking at the exterior changes to the historic structure, the additions to that historic structure, as well as a landscape plan on the property. And so this is the applicant's site plan and landscape plan. And so the existing two-story home sits approximately here. They are proposing to remove an addition on the back that was not historically accurate of the home, and they propose a new two-story addition on the rear of the home, which is this white box that you see here. And then that is connected, there's a sunroom here, which connects over to a new two-car garage. So there's no parking currently for this property other than commercial parking lot. That will be renovated or redeveloped, and they will propose to add a garage in this location. This is also the applicant's landscape plan. They submitted a landscape plan by Frawley and Associates. The plan incorporates several existing trees on the property. So there's quite a few trees that were required to be saved in the rear of the property as part of the council approval of the 16 townhomes being added to this property. So they are respecting those tree saves. There's proposed additional landscape material, and they have proposed primarily native trees and shrubs. They've also proposed edging and hardscape that will complement the historic structure and property. And then the applicant, there's an existing black metal fence at the rear of the property that they would like to keep. In areas where that would need to be cleaned up, they could certainly paint that existing black metal fence. And we do have a photograph of what that looks like. So this is the rear of the property and the black metal fencing that they would like to keep. The reason why they would like to keep that metal fencing, let me get back to the site plan. So on this site plan, this is Main Street, South Main Street here, and then on the north side of the property is Wills Park. So because we did create a plan on South Main Street. It was called the South Main Street Livable Centers Initiative, and it's basically a redevelopment plan for South Main Street. And part of that plan was to try to make connections between the sidewalk along South Main Street over to Wills Park. And so as part of the approval of the townhome development on this property, We did require a public connection, which you see right here, going right beside the Earl Wood House. So there's a public connection, and this connection will actually go back into Wills Park and connect to an existing trail system in Wills Park. So this is for public access. There is also a trail in the back here that is also available for public access. So in order to delineate the private realm from the public realm, the applicant is asking to keep that fencing in the back of the property. These are the improvements that the rehabilitation plan that the applicant has for the exterior of the home, as well as the addition. So in this picture, this is the existing Earl Wood home. There's the two-story addition at the rear of the structure. You can kind of see it peeking through at this point here. And then you see the sunroom, which connects over to the two-car garage. As you know, the home, let me bring that picture of the home today. Kind of have a side-by-side difference. So you can tell the existing metal roof was not true to was not historic to the home. So they are showing removal of the roof. I'm not going to go through all the details of the applicant's proposed changes to the exterior. I'm not the expert in that arena. I'll let the applicant present those specific changes, but I'll show you the information that they've submitted to the city. Sure.
Okay. What's the square footage of the existing home? And what are the
Commissioner Mashburn, I don't, give me 1 second here, see if I have that information in front of me. I will have to, if you don't mind, if we could defer that question to the applicant when they come to make their presentation. I do have that information. I'm going to have to dig around for it. I want to say that the existing structure was a little over 2,000 square feet. I don't know the square footage of the addition that is proposed at the rear, but I'm going to try to find that information for you, okay?
According to what you have on our pad, the existing heating area is 1,381 square feet. The new addition is an additional 1,052 square feet.
Good.
Thank you.
I have a question. Do we have a rendering of the addition itself?
Yes, yeah, I'm getting ready to show you those.
Oh, okay.
So this is the front elevation of the home. You can see the detached garage on the side here. So this is looking at the front of the home. And then we have the other elevations of the home here. So this is the left side. So this would face towards the Waffle House to the west. This would be the east side. So this is the garage here. The two-story addition is here. And then this is the rear elevation. So this is what faces Wills Park. So this is the back of the two-car garage. This is the back of that sunroom area that connects over to the two-car garage. And this is the back of the rear addition that they're proposing.
So the facade will be just like the rest of the house?
Yes, this is the front facade.
Okay,
Yep,
thank you.
you're welcome. So we did send the applicant's proposal to the city's downtown consultant. So we do have a downtown consultant who's an expert architect, expert in historic architecture. And his name is Andy Anderson. Andy is here today, should you have any questions for him. But Andy did review the applicant's proposal here and believes that the proposed renovations and addition are in keeping with the historical style of the existing home and will improve the existing structure by replacing inappropriate window windows and other details with more traditional elements. Of course, our standards for approval of a certificate of appropriateness, since we haven't looked at one of these since the Lewis Manning House came before you, I just thought I'd go over those. So what the Historic Preservation Incentive Ordinance says is that the Historic Preservation Commission shall approve a request for certificate of appropriateness if it finds that the proposed material change in the appearance would not have a substantial adverse effect on the aesthetic, historic, or architectural significance and value of the historic property. And so staff did look at that, and we had a response to that. And basically, what we believe that the applicant proposes to use the structure as a private residence, which is consistent with the historic use of the structure. The historic character of the property and structure will be retained and preserved. The proposed additions will complement the original home. Demolition is limited to the roof, windows and doors, rear addition, and the ADA ramp on the east side of the property, which are not original and do not contribute aesthetically to the architectural style of the historic structure. With that, staff is recommending approval of the applicant's request subject to 3 conditions. The first condition would tie the exterior changes that I've shown to you today to the exterior changes that are being proposed to the Earl Wood House would tie it to these plans that I've shown to you today. Those plans are prepared by KSI Design Group, and they're dated July 27th, 2023. Condition 2, building addition, garage, and landscaping shall be substantially similar to the plan prepared by Frawley and Associates, dated 7/27/2023. And then condition 3, existing black metal fence in rear yard shall be repaired or replaced where needed and shall be repainted black. And that concludes the presentation. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer those.
I have a question, not directly related, but what buildings that currently exist will be removed to put up the townhouses?
So the only other building that is on this property is there is a barn structure on the far east end of the property. Let me see if I can pull that up. Commissioner Myers, I'm not sure if we can see it on this aerial overhead, but the property actually, the property is 2 parcels currently. The property that will get the 16 townhomes plus the Earl Wood House. And so the Earl Wood House sits on this property right here, but the townhomes will also be developed on this adjacent property to the east. And there is a barn structure that is on this property. That barn structure was previously used by Matilda's, which was an outdoor music event. They've used it for just a short period of time and had some outdoor concerts there for a while, but that would be removed.
But on the other side,
I'm not aware of any structures on the other side of the home. I believe this is just grassed lawn area.
Michael?
And this shows actually you do have a blow up of just the area in red, and that is right here.
so all of these townhomes are gonna fit in that little space?
So there's 4 townhomes that are proposed in the space just west of the historic home. And then the additional 12 townhomes will be here, and they will continue on to this additional property just to the east.
Michael?
Yes.
Will the house be sold?
Well, yes, the applicant does intend to sell the house.
I guess all the restrictions go with the house in
Yes.
this case.
Any approvals by this board, as well as the city council, are placed on the property.
Because you said, I believe it'll be used as a private residence.
It will be used as a private residence. By zoning condition, it is limited to be used as a private residence.
I have a question that might go to the city architect. What is the style of the wood house? Because our STARS document says unknown.
Yeah, and that was the information that I had. Andy is here. I'm not sure if we have a determination on it, but he may be able to speak to that.
Do I need to get on the microphone?
Yes.
You know, the house is very generic in its character. I mean, it's similar to, I mean, what we have a style on the overlay that's called folk Victorian, which is really more like a naive style. You know, it's kind of like a builder style. You know, local builder style in the era. So it really doesn't have any very distinctive characteristics other than just the simple massing of the house. So that's kind of why we said unknown. It's like I said, it's very, very generic. There's really not any detailing on the house that really lends itself to any particular unique style. So, I mean, we just kind of broadly categorize it just kind of early 20th century folk Victorian, but it lacks most of any embellishments you would see on a Victorian era house. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
does that
Yeah,
kind of help? Okay.
very much. And then another question was, on your list of items that were to be demoed, siding on the existing house, and then on this drawing, it says new fiber cement siding. So I'm wondering how that's going to match up, or if the existing siding is being left on the house, or that's being removed too, or?
Good question.
I would recommend that question be directed to the applicant. Applicant is here.
And then on the black metal fence, is that, when you say metal, is it cast iron, or is it aluminum, or?
I don't know for sure. I would ask the applicant that. It looks to me that the fence appears to be an aluminum fence. It does not look, and I've been out to the property before too, and my recollection, it was not an wrought iron fence. It was aluminum.
And I guess to give, and I'll ask the applicant too, I would imagine to give the property value as a residence, that backyard would retain that fence and retain the privacy for that residence, I would imagine. And then I think it's great for those trails to go back to Wills Park. I was walking that trail a couple of days ago morning. There's no connection right now, but there will be when you're done there.
So the applicant that is before you this afternoon, as they develop this property, they will develop that trail connection back over to Wills Park. It is not currently there today.
Okay. All right, that's all.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, will the applicant come forward to make a presentation, please?
Yes.
Yes. Good afternoon again.
You may speak.
Okay. I'd like to address the questions that you've raised. The fence that exists today, it's an aluminum fence. Okay. It may require some painting. It's in good condition, but it's faded, so we may repaint the whole thing. Not may, for sure, because we want to sell this house. We will repaint it in black to look new. The second question you have concerning access to the trail, I agree with you. Today, there is no official trail linking that property to the park. It's wooded area. You can walk in between the trees and get to the park. It's not within our right to go and create a trail on somebody else's property because it's the park's property. It's the city's property. But we will make that link that Michael described. I don't know what to, can you see this? All right. We will make the trail that Michael described in here, which links State Route 9 to the park. And the first part of it's going to be paved, and as you get closer between the townhomes and the existing house to the end, it will be a mulch, mulch surfaced trail to connect to the park.
And who's gonna maintain that? Who's gonna maintain the mulch?
We will maintain it. The property, the HOA will maintain the mulch. The HOA is responsible for the maintenance of everything on the property in terms of soft or hard landscaping.
And then as that walkway goes back towards the park, there's a circular, like walkable roundabout there and something in the middle, like a fountain or?
No fountain, there's going to be a light. We're going to have a light, yeah. And the light style has been approved. It's consistent with what the city of Alpharetta recommends for lighting of streets.
And then there's a gate, I guess, that goes to the backyard.
There are two gates on each side, to the left and to the right, that will essentially tell people walking through not to wander in front.
Private.
Exactly, in the private areas of the project.
And then
Could we borrow you for a moment, please, to help
Oh,
Commissioner
here it is, I've got
Ross?
it, I've got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
And then would you answer the siding question?
Yes.
The siding on the house, we're going to have samples of it if you allow. So I present to you the roofing shingles, and that's the siding, same color that we'll be using on the side of the existing house. If you want to pass it on, man.
But it's originally wood on the house now?
Yeah, it had to be.
What we have right now is a thin membrane of. It's not hardwood. It's not even hardy. It's like kind of a plasticky.
Is it a composite?
It's not a composite. It's
not an LP?
the soft.
or-
Mr. Architect, maybe you can.
Is it
Is
vinyl?
it like masonite stuff?
No, it's not masonite. It's the plasticky soft.
Oh, vinyl side?
Vinyl.
On the existing house?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the existing house is vinyl siding?
It's vinyl. Today, it's vinyl. Yeah.
Wow.
It's been changed. I'm sure somebody changed it through the years, but now it's vinyl. You can press on it and your finger goes through it.
Yeah. Okay.
How close to the structure will the people be who use that path?
It's close to the garage. There is like a defining knee wall from where I'm pointing to the end of the garage, which is like a physical feature, essentially telling people don't step over it and go into the private property in the garage area. So if you see this line, this solid line going from here to here, that's like a knee wall. Like I said, it will have lights embedded in it, which will light that pathway, indirect lighting. But it's a defining knee wall, essentially telling people don't go into the private.
And will
business.
the homeowner have any privacy in his backyard?
The backyard, as we said before, it is currently fenced, so that fence will stay.
I mean, visibly, will the people who are walking toward Wills Park, is there anything blocking the view from the property in the backyard to the people who will be walking by the house? Today, there isn't anything blocking that view. It does not mean that
the owner cannot, or the HOA, whichever, we have to look at the plan, at the landscaping plan.
So he could put his own shrubs in place to give
If you look,
himself
if you
some
look at this one, sir,
No, I'm talking, oh,
the other way, I'm sorry. So if that's the garage, you've got trees in here giving some privacy, and then there's an existing fence that goes probably in here at the present time, around in here, towards the end, fencing this part of the backyard. And we're going to be planting a lot of trees around here that will hide the backyard from the passage or the trail that we intend to build in here.
And it looks like there's a fence or that's also goes around the back of the entire property, the
No,
complex?
there isn't. We don't intend to put one. No, there is a privacy fence in front of each townhome. For the townhomes, you can see it in here. You can see that in here with the gate, small gate. That's going to be a 4-foot fence, kind of a delineating the little backyards or private backyards of the townhomes.
But if you go back behind the proposed garage and you keep on going, and then you,
There's a gate in here, right?
right, and then that gate, beyond that, that is a fence that runs into something
It's
right
just
there.
it's just like a fence that ends in a post, really, but it's not. The whole thing is not enclosed.
Okay.
It's just telling people don't wander to the left or wander to the right as you walk in here. Use it as a passage all the way to the park.
Okay.
so they can't, the people who are walking toward the park, they can't just walk into the yard
No.
when they get beyond the garage.
If they wish, they can always turn around it and come back. But I mean, can't prevent that because the backyard is not the perimeter line, the boundary line is not fenced. But we've done everything we can to uninvite people to wander into the private properties.
My concern is, where will, these people will probably be parking? Where are they gonna park to walk that trail?
We don't allow for that. It's not within our scope.
There will not be, because the drawing shows there's like a little road
Yeah,
in
but
front of the townhouses.
that's a private road, and that's really for the use of the.
So
of the-
people, so people won't, just the homeowners will access that path, is that what you're saying?
The parking spaces in here, the parallel parking spaces in here, are really
For-
meant for guests who are visiting
For guests?
people at the townhomes.
For guests?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
how do they prove they're a guest of a person that?
We'll have to put some signs, I guess.
Okay. Because I can see a lot of people pulling in there and parking, using the path to get in, especially when they do the fireworks
Yeah. Yeah.
in the park.
Well, absolutely. That whole area is typically, every space there is used by people to go to the park and watch the fireworks.
Right, that, I would be very concerned if I was buying one of those townhouses,
Mm.
that I would have cars parking in there.
Are there any questions?
I have one.
Sir?
The townhomes that you're building, are they going to be designed in a way that they blend in with the existing house?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if we go to this, with permission from the city architect, the nearest kind of architecture we thought would fit is to have a Greek revival theme for the rest of the townhomes because of the columns that we're seeing on the front porch and the side porch. So every townhome will have two of these columns along the door, the main entrance door, with a little parapet on top of it, and that would make the house and the new townhomes mesh together nicely.
So you are putting on all new siding and you're putting on a new roof. Are you raising the level at all of
No, sir. Actually, we're cutting about 2 feet. We're cutting
Height?
about 2. Again, these are, when I'm pointing right now, the entrance doors, and these will be,
No,
will have
the
the 2
existing-
columns that I was talking about.
the existing home, the wood house?
Yeah,
You're replacing the roof on that?
absolutely.
And now, but are you replacing the rafters? Or are you
No.
replacing?
No, we're not. No, we're
Even
not.
the rafters? Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're
We're replacing
leaving,
the siding as well, as I mentioned, with the samples I just passed to.
and
Ma'am.
and the chimneys stay, it's the same 2 chimneys on it.
Yeah, they're staying. We're not touching those.
Are those at all functional? I'm just curious.
I think they are. I think they are, and they're really so pretty because you've got a chimney with facing 2 rooms. So it's 1 chimney column, and it has 2 rooms at the bottom and 2 rooms on the upper floor
Okay.
that are usable. I think they are usable. So we'll have to test those.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Ms. Shapiro, has any member of the public requested to talk?
No, ma'am.
Where'd she go?
I'm filling in.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, ma'am. There's no comments.
There's no comment, okay. Are there any people from the general public that would like to make a comment? We now open. We will close the public hearing, and I open this up for discussion between the board. Does anyone want to discuss this further?
My only concern when I look at the drawings of the townhouses and the Earl Wood house, I'm afraid that the Earl Wood house is going to look like a sore thumb stuck in there because it's going to be so much lower than the townhouses that the appearance from the road is not going to be desirable.
Good point.
I think we had sort of the same thing with the Teasley house on Roswell Street. Behind it is like a 3-story building. And what we were told then, and I guess the same thing holds now, it sort of goes with the territory that in order to save the house, there's got to be some reason or some benefit to a purchaser who would save the house. Ideally, we'd have the house by itself, but that's not going to happen. So,
Any further discussion? Okay, I'm going to open the floor for a motion to be made on this particular item. Someone,
I would make a motion that we approve the Wood House for a certificate of appropriateness.
okay, second?
second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand, please. Joy, oh, did you? Okay. Okay, it's passed. Thank you very much. Then we have the Gardner House, Mr.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Bill would faint.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. The next item before you is PH 2319 Gardner House Certificate of Appropriateness. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness in order to rehabilitate the Gardner House for use as a private residence. The rehabilitation will include a 2-story garage addition on the east side of the home, as well as a pool and cabana on the west side of the home. Do have the location map on the overhead. This property is located at 133 Cumming Street. That's at the southeast corner of Cumming Street and Cricket Lane. Gardner House was constructed between 1915 and 1930. It's about 100 years old. The architectural style of the home is folk Victorian. This is a street view of the home today. And then the property was rezoned earlier this year to downtown residential to allow the property to be subdivided into 2 lots. So the builder will rehab this home, and then they were approved for 1 additional lot just to the south of this property. So this was about a 1.75 acre property, and they subdivided off the Gardner house. There is 1 residential lot below it, and then the balance of the property is stream and stream buffer. As part of the conditions of zoning on that rezoning, the applicant did go forward to both this board as well as City Council to designate the structure as historic. That was official this past Monday, October 16th. The existing home is just a little over 2,000 square feet, and it appears the addition, it's a 2-story garage addition. That's what you see right here. And there is livable space up above the 4-car garage. That looks to be about 1,000 to 1,500 square feet. The applicant can probably clarify that a little bit better. Actually, let's just stay on the site plan for a second. So this is the existing structure here, and just to quickly orient you, this is Cumming Street, this is Cricket Lane here. Have this pointed due north. So the existing structure sits here. The 2-story garage addition, so this is a 4-car garage with livable space above, sits in this location. And then the pool and cabana or pavilion area is on the west side of the home, and there is a wall around it. The applicant also shows a perimeter wall around the property, and we have some renderings that depict that wall. So it'll go around the perimeter of the property, similar to the Lewis Manning house that you saw last year. And then the other change, of course, with the garage addition on the east side of the home, they have moved the driveway to the east side of the property. The applicant also submitted a landscape plan, which you see here. This is a plan by Reese, Hopes, and Fincher. The proposed landscape material is primarily native trees and shrubs again. The edging and hardscape, we believe, will complement the historic structure. As I mentioned, there is a perimeter wall. I'll show you that in the renderings here in one minute. That's a 6-foot wall with columns and fencing. The wall and columns will be brick, with the fencing being a black metal fence. City Arborist did look at the landscape plan and believes that the material selections are representative of species historically used in the South. Nikisha, would you mind passing out the handout? You did? Okay. So Nikisha passed out some handouts to you. These are updated renderings from the applicant. These were received first thing this morning, so they are not in your packet. But the reason why the applicant made changes to the renderings is as part of your packet, there were some markups from our downtown consultant that the applicant has addressed those markups. I did provide these renderings to the downtown consultant this morning, asked him to look at these against his previous comments that he provided to the applicant, and he believes that the applicant has addressed his comments in these renderings. So you should each have 3 pages. This is a front view of the home. This is the 2-story garage addition over here on the east side of the home with that pool and cabana on the west side. This is that 6-foot wall with fencing, so you see the brick wall with columns and then the black metal fencing. This is a look at a home from the corner of Cricket and Cumming Street. So this is that pool and cabana area on the west side of the home. And then we have a view on the east side of the home. So this is looking at the view of where the garage, 2-story garage addition is being placed on the east side of the home. Again, looking at the standards for approval of a certificate of appropriateness, staff did assess that, and we believe the applicant is proposing to use the structure for a private residence. Again, that is the historical use of the property and the structure. The historic character of the property and structure will be retained and preserved. The proposed additions in pool and cabana will complement the original home. And then demolition is limited to the rear addition. There's a rear addition. Let me get back to the site plan. I believe that's right here, that was not historic to the structure, so they'll tear that down and rebuild that area. But demolition is limited to that, which was not historic, and the alteration of architectural details is limited to the removal and replacement of roof shingles, windows and doors, shutters, siding, and cedar shakes. The replacement materials will have the same look as the original materials on the home.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
You were referring to the siding. It's going to be, could you repeat that one sentence?
So the applicant is making alterations to some of the architectural details of the home. And those, I had mentioned, those are limited to the removal and replacement of the roof shingles, windows and doors, shutters, siding, so the siding of the home, as well as the cedar shake. So there's some cedar shake details in the gable of the roof. See if I can point that out to you.
Do we know what the siding is now?
I don't, but the applicant is here and should be able to answer that question.
Okay.
So the house is siding, but up in these gables of the roof, there are some cedar shakes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And so staff is recommending approval of the applicant's request subject to 3 conditions, and I'll go through those. Condition 1 deals with the exterior changes to the Gardner house and limits it to the 3 renderings that we showed you here, the similar or the same as the hard copy printouts that you have before you. Condition 2, building additions, pool and cabana shall be substantially similar to the site plan prepared by Bruce Robinson Custom Homes Plan dated 4/24/23. And then condition 3, landscape plan shall be substantially similar to the plan prepared by Reese Hoops Fincher dated 8/2/2023. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Are there any questions?
I do. I'm just looking at some previous renderings, and it seems that previously the 2-story addition used to look more detached. Am I imagining that, or?
I think I'll let the applicant respond to that one when he comes up to do a presentation. But this is one of the previous renderings. I kind of felt that way too. It did, in this picture, it does look like it's more attached to the
Yeah.
structure. Let me see if I can get to that third rendering. Give me 1 second here. There you go. It does have the appearance as if it's attached, but I will let the applicant, I did just receive these this morning and I did not have a chance to discuss them with the applicant, so I'll let him respond to that.
The garages appear to be on a lower elevation in the original rendering, and I think they just raised it up so that the roof lines all match across.
Well, it does look that way.
Yeah, that's what I first thought that too.
This may also help. So this was a floor plan that the applicant submitted with the original application. And this is the home here. The area in red represents that garage, two-story garage addition. So it does attach here, but they did have this kind of break in between here to give the appearance of almost being a detached garage. But again, I'll let the applicant address that one.
It seems to me it was originally a 3-car garage, and now it's a 4-car garage.
It does appear in this rendering that it is 3 cars. There appears to be 2 here and 1 here. But this floor plan was submitted with this rendering, and this floor plan does show 4 cars.
I've never been in the Gardner house. Is that circular stairway, is that original to the house there? If not, is that something you'll be doing, Tori?
Would you like me to come up and?
Well, we can.
I'll answer that, I promise.
Okay.
Okay. Are there other questions? Okay, would the applicant please come forward to make a presentation? Okay.
Hey there. All right, would you like me to start with your question, Shaq?
Sure.
Awesome, yeah, so we are actually adding that circular staircase. It came from an inspiration that we got early on, actually with Miss Gardner. And when I started to talk to her about it, she's a pretty jovial individual, lots of energy. But when I started to talk about that piece of it, she got very emotional. It was always a dream of her and her husband to do that, and so I wanted to honor that desire. And so I told her that we were going to work towards that and put that in. And then her response after she stopped kind of tearing up was, "Can I come see it when you're finished?" And I was like, "You will be the first person that we invite to see this home when we finish." And the Layman's who are purchasing the home, they agreed to that as well. So it's going to be beautiful.
Okay. Did you have any more to discuss about the presentation?
Yeah, well, Michael did a fantastic job. What he did highlight there is about a 5-foot break between the garage and the main house to give it more of an effect of a carriage house. So that's what that is. But then we wanted it to be able to connect to the main home. So towards the rear, that's where it starts to tie back together. And we are, I think you had asked about the siding. We are using it's a version of historical siding. There's only one company out there. I'm happy to pull that back. I can't ever pronounce it, but there's a historical siding that we are using. Hardy used to have a version of their own. They've stopped making it, but funny enough, there's a version called Nichiha siding. It is historic, and as a matter of fact, I believe it's the CEO of the company is a local. He's from Johns Creek, so Anyway, excited to bring it back to life and make it look very similar to what it currently is. Unfortunately, and I believe, Ms. Bonner, you asked this question, the wood is rotted in a lot of areas, the siding. So there's, and funny enough, I'm not sure the name of the home, but across the street, the builder that's working on that, I was just talking with him. He spent a lot of time trying to basically save the siding that was on the house, and he finally gave up and he's having to replace it. We've kind of identified that we're going to run into the same issue, and we want it to be put in as good a shape as it possibly can. So we're going to take the expense of and go through the process of that entirely.
So it looks like clapboard right now, though.
It's a clad siding. It is a real wood product, not like the vinyl on the previous applicant's home, but it's just failing.
It does frequently.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Are there questions?
How many additional square feet are you adding to the house?
I believe around 2,000.
So the total square footage when you're finished will be what?
Main two levels will be about 4,000 square feet.
Is the addition on the same level as the main house? Are there?
It is level.
Yeah, same level?
It's level. We may have one step up into the main quarters from the garage. Okay. It may not be just a main level walk-in. I believe we do have a step up, but it's pretty close to level.
I like the idea of it really looking like a carriage house, because that makes it historically accurate. You didn't park your horse in the house back then. So I think that's important, especially for that house. We had a barn and had all that wood stored in the barn for 2 years, I guess, drying it out especially for that house. I like the barn doors on that side. And looks like that front wall or whatever will only be the actual brick. Is it brick
Sorry.
or stone?
I got a low rider here. I was going to try
Looks
and
like brick,
this up a little bit.
brick wall in the front.
Yes, sir. The front privacy wall will be brick. They are planning to paint it to match the body of the house.
And it's only up about 2 or 3 feet, and then it's the iron fence, so you get a good view of the house. It's not like they're blocking a view of the house.
Correct. And so what we did, if you've been over there, there is a little bit of a grade change. So we're utilizing the knee wall, I'll call it, as a bit of a retaining wall, and then you have the fence above it. So it does give a good view to the main quarters of the house. And then what we did is you get, if you're looking straight on at the house, on the far right-hand corner of the porch, that lined up with that far right column, we will have a privacy wall that runs into the house there. And then if you come back out to the street, that same column there will start a privacy wall that goes across, and that's more just because there's a swimming pool there and we wanted to kind of mask that a little bit, but we wanted to really have it set up to where folks that walk by, drive by, have a really good view of the actual historical structure.
And because it's so close to the level of the ground, you don't need a front railing on that porch.
Exactly.
And you really get
a real good view.
The look that you want.
That's right.
Historical look. So I like that.
100%.
The house is white with pale blue.
It's a historic blue color. They worked with their designer to find, inspirations from historical colors. It actually kind of, I won't say that's the identical color, but a lot of porches where you paint the ceiling blue kind of reminds me of that.
It's called Paint Blue.
Paint blue?
Paint.
Paint?
Haint.
I'm glad I showed up. I learned something new today.
house originally was white.
Yes, sir.
So, just off the top of your head, what is this house gonna cost?
I honestly don't know. I mean,
You gotta know something.
I mean, we're in the process of all that right now. I think you asked that question before, and I mean, it's going to be a couple $1 million when we're all said and done. It's expensive land and all the things involved with it, and we're trying to do it justice. So it'll definitely be what I would call expensive.
Yes, I would call it expensive.
Yeah, but we're going to do a good job.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Do we have other questions?
I'm sorry.
You're gonna build another house behind this.
Yes, sir. It'll be
How
on
close
Cricket.
is that house gonna be to this house?
It's approximately 25 feet away.
So you're not gonna have much of a backyard for this house.
It's more oriented to where the pool is, so it's more side yard centric. And I mean, you know, it was one of those things. It's a bit of a challenge lot, and how you can configure everything. And so we spent a lot of time going back and forth with Michael and just lots of people smarter than me to figure out the best way. And then we had the creek to contend with. So we really tried to, you know, make the most of it. And so I think it's going to be really nice, though, because the way the grade changes going down Cricket, it actually sets up really nicely because the historic house, when you're out on Cummings Street, you're going to have a really great view and presence of everything there and be able to really take all of that in. And I think it's going to really set it off and set very nicely to itself. Then you go down Cricket, and there's a little bit of a grade change to where the other house is located. So it works. I think it's going to work really nicely together, and pretty excited about it.
How close are the two houses gonna be in style? They're gonna be completely different?
They're different. You know, this is more of a, historical, farmhouse style of home. The other one, while it is part of the downtown overlay and the types of homes that are there, it's definitely different, but still of great historical value as far as the leanings of the architecture.
What's your timing
We're ready to rock and roll.
at the other end? When do you think?
Finish up. I think our company has a very efficient system that we build in. I think we'll finish up in about 12 months. That's the goal. Maybe a little longer on this just because we've got to kind of go backwards to go forwards with certain aspects with the wood rot and things like that. So might be a little longer than that, but my goal is 12 months. That'll make the layman super happy. Of course, we're not going to sacrifice quality and rush, but we will be diligent.
Can you tell us anything about the family or fella that's going to be living there?
Sure. It's the Laymans, Jeff and Sharon Layman. They've been longtime Alpharetians. They've lived in Windward. I think they bought their home new in Windward and love it and raised their kids. They both went through Alpharetta High School. They're just great. They're a great couple. The family's awesome. The kids are great, doing some amazing things, and they're just excited to be closer to downtown and everything that's going on. I think Sharon said something to the effect of, it's just a little different than when we moved into Windward, Alpharetta is, and so they're attracted to that and want to be closer to all the activities that go on. So, wonderful people.
So it'll be different being in a historic home.
Well, here's it's a fun fact. Jeff actually was born and raised in Indiana in a farmhouse, a historic farmhouse. And so that's what got him excited about this. So he and I have worked, along with Sharon as well, but worked tirelessly to really lean into some of the elements and just do a great job with this. So They are definitely not shortcutters, let's just put it that way.
Who is your architect again?
Bruce Robinson.
And do we have any other questions? Do we have any members of the public that have signed cards?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And is there anyone that would like to speak from the general public? No. Okay. We're going to close the public meeting. And is there a discussion between the board any further? No? All right. Then I open the floor for a motion to be made. Can I have a motion, please, to accept it?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. All in favor? And it has passed.
That's great news.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you very much.
Can't wait to see it.
I'm excited. It's going to be beautiful.
Okay,
We're
I'd
all
like,
invited to the open house. Yeah.
I want to go back to the staff. Where is that? Or items from the board members. I believe Joy has an announcement to make.
After 35 years plus living in Alpharetta, we're moving. So I will be resigning from this commission as of January 1st, 2024.
If you all have any individuals you think might be a good fit for a commissioner, would you please talk it among them yourselves, and then we'll see what we can come up with.
And I move to reject that.
Joy, which councilman appointed you? Oh, okay.
One other thing, we've been trying to think about how we can get interest in, if I'm not doing this correctly, please let me know. Okay. We're trying to get more interest in historic houses in Alpharetta, and about a good 4 years ago, the city sent out a letter, it was a different department, to people that had historic houses that could possibly go through this process. And we had a few people respond, but I'm thinking it might be time for us to put another letter out. I know, Michael, do you have a copy of that letter by chance? Talk about being on the ball.
This isn't the letter, this is other information, but I am familiar with the letter. I think, I believe that's when Alicia Taylor was here. I believe we did send out a letter to some properties that were on the contributing list of historic structures, encouraging them to designate their properties as historic. And we did have a few that did go through that process as a result of that letter. We could certainly send another letter out to the properties on the contributing list, trying to let them know about the incentives that are offered if they designate historic. We can certainly work on that, yes.
Can I have comments from the board? What do you think?
I think that'd be great. Probably good timing to momentum. Now
Yeah.
that we've got a couple of new properties.
The Historical Society had a meeting where we just chatted among several of us about possible future sites to go on our historic list. And we came up with 19, but it was a very rough kind of a list. But I think like this, the igloos, what do you call it? The silos, not igloos. There's some other things too. Farmhouse, so we want more people to know about us and what we do. And like you're saying, I want to see more interest in historic preservation here in Alpharetta. So if you have ideas, or do you like the idea? Should we go ahead and ask Mr. Woodman to send it out?
That'd be great.
Okay, Connie, what do you think?
Yeah. Go ahead.
And then the other thing, we did talk about potentially adding some additional properties to the contributing historic list.
Right.
So if there are lists that you have come up with the Historical Society, we'd be happy to look at that and do our investigation. Of course, there are certain criteria to be placed on that list. The structure needs to be at least 75 years old or older. And there's some additional criteria too, but if you provide us with a list of addresses, we can certainly investigate those. I know you brought one forward to me recently, and we
Right.
did investigate that for you, and I have some information if you would like me to present that.
Sure.
Sure. So Chairwoman Stedman did reach out to me regarding the Clear Springs Baptist Church at 2725 Kimblebridge Road. The church was recently presented with a proclamation by the city council. And during that presentation, I believe they made claim that they were, was it 150 years old, the church was, or older? 175. So actually, I had my coworker, Nikisha Mystery, actually look into this, do some research. Fulton County tax card on the property does not provide the year the structure was built on that particular property. So that's one of the places that we will look for that information. So Nikisha actually went out to the property and spoke to someone, a member of the congregation, Mr. Mervyn Helton. And he did indicate, and there's a sign on the property that also indicates that the original church was established in 1858. But that location was on Cumming Street. We don't know exactly where on Cumming Street, but the original church was on Cumming Street. They built the new church and moved their location to 2725 Kimblebridge Road, he said in the early 1960s. So in order to be designated, or not designated, but to be added to our contributing historic list, it would need to be more than 75 years old. So we would be looking at a structure that was built in the late 40s in order to qualify. So that property does not currently qualify for addition to the contributing list. But again, if there are additional properties that you would like us to look at and research for you, we can certainly do that.
Now, I don't know if any of you ever do the June Sing. They used to hold the June Sing at that church, and that was the perfect church. Linda, I think you were there. I mean, it was stunning to watch those people sing in that wood church. It was terrific. It was really interesting.
One comment about adding additional homes that would add to the contributing list. We're bumping up against the arrival of the ranch house. So we need to be doing some thinking about that and how we might deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I have another request. Ms. Linda Snelson, granddaughter of Earl and May Wood, who's the house that we approved today. A marker will be placed there, assuming the current owner balks at that. And the request was that we call it the Earl and May Wood House, rather than the Earlwood House, which that's the name that has been used up until now when that house is described. So I make a motion that we go that route, call it the Earl and May Wood House.
And I will certainly pass that along to our Parks and Rec department. They help out on the historical markers on the property. Thank you for that.
Women's Lib.
Pardon?
Women's Lib.
Yeah, it's M-A-E Wood. And there's a precedent for that, too. We have another house out on Rucker Road. Rucker and, I forget the name of the intersection there.
Broadway.
What?
Broadway.
No,
Charlotte.
Charlotte, thank you. And that that house has the name of both the husband and the wife.
That's right.
And it seems really that's more appropriate than the name of the man only.
Yeah.
Because you know the wife had a little bit to do with that house too.
Was there a Mrs. Gardner involved?
Pardon?
Was there a Mrs. Gardner involved with the Gardner house?
Well, yes, there were Miss Gardners. There were 2 or 3 Miss Gardners who never married, who lived in the house originally. But the one of the nephews of Mr. Gardner, his name's John Gardner, and that's Latrell. You've heard us talk about
Yes.
Latrell?
Yeah.
That's where Latrell Gardner comes in. As far as I know, she never lived in the house, but anyway, to answer your question.
The other thing we need to start thinking about, and Joy brought this up, is that the house that I sold just down the road was built in 1977, and we're going to have a volume of single-story ranches coming up that qualify for the 75 years. And we may want to think about whether we want to increase it to maybe 100 years. I know there's other incentives and things they have to consider, but what do you all think?
I'd like for this group to meet and have a discussion on that and maybe make a recommendation to the city.
Michael, how would we handle that? Do we have to publicize it?
So if you would like to seek some changes to the historic preservation incentive ordinance, you would just present those to staff. So if the group has discussed that and there's consensus to move that forward, you can bring that forward to us. Just send me an email and let me know what that is. We will draft the actual change to the text, and we will bring that forward. That will involve city council as well,
Right.
because it is part of our unified development code. So they will have to review that change. But you just bring that information forward to me, and we will work on the actual
Okay,
change.
I'm talking about, you said get together and decide, but I know when we have more than 3 people together that are on the board, it has to be publicized in the paper and all that.
Certainly, you can discuss this today in this forum right now. But if you, as the chair, want to reach out to any of the board members individually, or maybe you send them an email possibly, just polling them on whether they think a change would be appropriate to increase the age of the structure, you could do it that way. But yes, you are subject to, you need to watch, you cannot get together with 4 of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. So if you get a quorum together, then it would be considered public.
Yeah, we'd have to
You
advertise
would have
that
to
if
have a
it's 4.
special,
Do people do that? I mean, if we wanted to talk in a group together.
So if, I'm going to step in here,
Oh,
because
please,
there's some
yes.
things that are kind of headed down a path. You actually cannot do an email poll of your members like that for what you're talking about, because that constitutes a vote of a quorum of members, is the way that would be looked at, and Ms. Shapiro would come and wag her finger for violating open meetings laws. So let's not have that. What we would have to do, it could be done as a special meeting. It could be done as, during a regular meeting. It would be placed on the agenda as a discussion item for you to workshop it, to talk through it. If you want to, make it a business item so that you would have the opportunity to vote, you could certainly do that. My anticipation is that it's probably going to be a 2-step process for you. One, to just talk through it a bit, so that we can put a framework together, and then a second pass of it where you would actually consider it as an item of business, vote on it, etc. But all of that would have to be placed on an agenda and done, as the law puts it, in the light of day, in an open forum.
So
I think it'd be a
could
good
we
good
actually
feedback
have a-
from the citizens.
Mhm.
Yeah, so what would we have to do to set up a workshop?
If you want to do it on a different date and time than your normal meeting, then all we have to do is find an opportunity when the room is available or a room is available. We have to advertise that because it would be considered a special meeting, just actually like this one was. So we have to take an extra step in the advertising of it. It has to be done a little further in advance, but it's easy.
Okay.
And that's really it. So it's a matter of finding a time when y'all are available and the space is available.
Maybe next month for our usual Thursday meeting.
Yeah, we don't have anything scheduled for next month's meeting, so that would be a perfect opportunity, and we will just call it a workshop.
That'd be perfect. Can you take it from here?
Sure.
Okay, what date would that be, do you know?
Give me 1 second. I need to get
So,
That was a
3
good
of us
idea,
can get
Connie.
together for coffee, but 4 cannot.
If all of you got together and did nothing but have coffee and talk about weather and ball games and whatnot, that's fine. As soon as you start talking about the business of this group, of this commission, if there are 4 or more of you present, that's when it's an issue. But the law recognizes that we are a community. While we've grown a lot, we're not that big a community, and y'all know each other. So, if you're not talking about city business, that's fine.
Yeah, I wanted to give a cocktail party a couple of years ago
But
at
the 3 of us
Christmas
can get together.
for our group, and I was told that we couldn't do it.
It depends, right? So, it's not unusual, especially development authorities. Development authorities are notorious for having an annual celebration. And as long as they're not talking about business, as long as it's purely social, it's fine.
That's great.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's ways to deal with that. But I will tell you that we get nervous, our city attorney gets nervous, because it doesn't take much to stray and suddenly you're talking business. And if one of us is not there to say, whoa, stop, you can get yourself in trouble. And that's why we tend to say, just don't.
And do we need one of you there at the workshop?
Yeah, it would be better, yeah.
I will be there.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, cool.
Yeah, and the workshop will be done just like a normal meeting. We'll have it, in a room at City Hall. Preferably, we would have it in this room so that it can be recorded and made part of the public record.
Okay.
But, we have done workshops across the hall in the community room. As long as it is easily accessible and inviting to the public to participate. Our preference is that we do all meetings in this space because you never know when you may have a resident who wants to listen in, and hear what y'all are talking about.
Wonderful. Thank you for talking to us.
Certainly.
The November meeting is scheduled for November 9th, Thursday, November 9th. That's the second Thursday of the month,
At 3 o'clock.
3 p.m., yes.
Okay. Does that fit in everyone's schedules?
I don't even know what fits my schedule tomorrow. Yes, I think we can work it out.
Okay. So our workshop is November 9th at 3 o'clock. Are there any questions or things anybody wants to bring up on the board? Connie, do you have any questions?
No.
Nope. Joy? Okay. Then I would like to have someone place a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I second.
Okay. All All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that's, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
And just a reminder, if two of you at a time would go to the conference room next door and meet with our IT person, and go ahead and get you set up on your city email address.
Okay. At the last meeting, we voted to say the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of our meeting, and it wasn't on here, so I didn't see it. Can we put that on from now on? Okay, great, thanks.
All right, thank you all.
Appreciate you all. Now I'm freezing.
I know, it's so cold. We'll just go this way.
Drink from the water bottles that are.
I did.
I did.
Okay, because we just have to replace them for the next.
Okay.
We have another meeting in less than an hour, so.
What, do you believe in recycling?